Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. So I promise that this whole channel will not be just about gardening, but it's just that time of year where lots of people are thinking about it. Lots of people are planning, and I really wanted to talk to y'all about seed starting, right? So last time we talked about just the basics of maybe starting a garden, right? Seed starting is just the next step. It's the next thing you're gonna think about. You already decided what you want to grow. Now you need to think about when it likes to grow and when you're gonna start it. So grab you a warm drink and this cold, dreary day, and let's get started. Okay, I'm coming at you on a completely different day. I recorded this entire video and I realized that I never talked about why you would want to start seeds indoors versus just buying all your plants at a nursery. And I was thinking, that might be an important part of this whole entire video, talking about why we're even doing this in the first place. We'll get to exactly how to start seeds in just a minute, but why you want to start seeds at home. Now, if you're anything like me, that first year when I very first started researching all there was to know about starting a vegetable garden, I came across so many videos and so many blogs talking about starting seeds. And I did go to the stores and go to a local farm actually and bought quite a few started plants. Now, you can find a local farmer who does this, or you can go to your farmer's market and buy pretty common things that people are going to buy, say tomatoes. You can buy a lot of your herbs. I'm holding these while I'm talking, but you can buy a lot of your herbs, flowers, things like that at a farmer's market, or even, Lowe's, Home Depot. A lot of your local nurseries are going to have started plants. Now you can go buy tons of vegetables and flowers and herbs from your local nursery if that's what you would prefer. If you're at the point in your life or just in the point in your gardening journey where you don't feel comfortable starting seeds, that is perfectly fine. Starting seeds indoors is not a requirement to having a really great garden. Now, if you're watching this and you're deciding to garden in April or in May even, you don't really have enough time to start seeds indoors except for some of those hot weather things. But you're not going to have a whole lot of time if you're starting your garden this late into the spring or the summer. And so you're going to have to go to these stores and buy your plants already started. And that's perfectly fine. But I do want to give you some perspective. I want to garden so I can not only grow food for my family and to control the health of my family, through our food. I am going to be conscious of what goes on my food. I'm not going to be spraying them with chemicals. And another big reason I'm growing food is for the cost. It can be expensive to garden, but it doesn't have to be. You can save so much money by growing some of your own food at home. But a part of saving money for me is starting a lot of my plants indoors. In fact, I want to start almost all of the plants that I'm growing this year indoors. If I go to a big box store or even a nursery and buy every single plant of all the things I wanted to grow, I would be spending significantly more money than if I just started my seeds indoors. So I have a packet of seeds. Now this is echinacea. I just got these in from So True Seeds and I'm so excited. I know this is like off topic right now, but look how gorgeous these packets are. I'm so excited to have found this company. This is definitely, these are some of the ones. I'm going to put a link in the description for a $5 off coupon. Super excited about these. Now, if I went and bought an echinacea plant, okay, I'm going to be getting a few plants, a few plants in one pot, some flowers. Maybe I could even separate them, but it's going to be about anywhere from $3 to $5 to $6, depending on what I'm buying per pot. That's per plant. Or I can spend $3 or however much you're spending on one packet of seeds, and I could get up to 50 plants for $3 if I start them at home. Now, yes, you have to include the cost of the soil you're buying, the seed starting, supplies, lights possibly. But if you do all the math, you are going to be saving so much money by starting your plants indoors. Now, I'm growing 7 different varieties of tomatoes. I know that may be a little much for the space I have. We'll just have to see. But if I want, say, 3 plants for each variety, that's 21 plants for, 7 times maybe 4. So I spent $28 on tomato seeds alone, maybe. It's just rounding around in my head. But if I went to the grocery store or a big box store in my nursery, I would be spending $4 to $5 a plant on every single tomato plant. So you can easily sit down and do the math and see that starting seeds indoors is going to save you a significant amount of money, even when you include the extra supplies like grow lights and seed trays, because you're going to be able to use those things again. Once you buy grow lights, you have them and you're going to use them season after season. Even if you get a really good seed tray or other supplies, yes, you're going to have to buy soil again, but that's an insignificant amount compared to buying every single individual plant already grown for you. Now, if that's where you're at in your gardening journey, you're not ready to start seeds, that's perfectly fine. But I just did want to clarify why you would want to start seeds indoors versus buying every single plant already started for you. Now, a couple other things I wanted to add in. I did go ahead and include some links in the description of the video. I did find some really good trays and some bottom watering trays that go along with them. I did add a few links for those in the description of the video. I also added a link for the grow light that I currently have, the panels that I'm going to show you, and also a bag of the soil that I bought this time to start my season. So let's get to it. So I really wanted to show you pretty quickly how you can start seeds, or why in the world you would want to start seeds. You may be thinking, don't I just go throw seeds in the ground and go on about my business? My garden's gonna grow awesome. But I know it's really, really important with certain crops to start your seeds indoors. And there are a few things that I made huge mistakes with when starting seeds. The first couple times I didn't have a grow light, and that was a really big issue. I thought, can't you just stick them on your windowsill and they'll be good? You can't. I actually talked about this in my last video. You can't just start them all indoors and expect to have these awesome, beautiful plants to go plant outside when the time is right. So really quickly, we're gonna go over just a few things that you might need to get some of your stuff started inside. Number one thing you wanna grab, other than seeds, obviously, is a seed starting mix. Now, I just picked this one up. You can go to any one of your local stores. I mean, you can even go to Home Depot, you can go to Lowe's, you can go to a local nursery and grab you some seed starting mix. Now, this part's not super, super important. I'm not gonna be super picky. You may wanna be super picky. I don't really mind too much. I typically go for things that are labeled organic, but a lot of times that doesn't really make a difference in certain things, and you're just paying a little bit more for that label. Now, I think I just grabbed this one on Amazon. It's by SunGrow, and this one's called Black Gold. It has really good germination rate. It has good ratings. I just grabbed a bag real fast because it was going to be delivered to me the next day, let's be honest. And I wanted to go ahead and get some of these seeds started right away because I'm a little late on a few things, like onions. So grab you some seed starting mix. The next thing you're gonna think about is, what am I gonna plant these seeds in, right? So most people start their seeds in these little things called the seed cells. Now, this is where you can choose to go a little bit cheaper or choose to really invest in some good tools. Now these, I'm pretty sure, picked these up on Amazon as well. They came stacked, like a huge stack of them. These are kind of leftover from last year. I'm pretty sure, I wrote on them, I'm pretty sure some of them have spider webs that were stuck in a closet in the garage. So these are a little bit more flimsy. Now that I know, now that I've been through a season of gardening, I don't think I would really buy these again because this is really just a one-use thing and you probably would toss them away. Now I have heard of some gardeners using seed cell trays from places like Bootstrap Farmer, in which they've been able to use, I've seen some people say that they've used their same trays for 4 or 5 seasons. And to me, that's a better use of my money when I'm not wasting and throwing away so much plastic. Now, you may be starting seeds at home in red solo cups, and that is perfectly fine. I've heard of people doing that because of cost issues. Maybe they don't have a lot of money to invest in some good tools, and that's perfectly fine. If that works for you, that is awesome. To me, or for me, I would rather invest in something that's going to last a little bit longer. So I am gonna reuse some of these that I had left over from last year just so I don't waste them because they're still sort of in decent shape. And I'm going to fill these up with soil. Now I've seen tons of different pots. You can even find some peat moss, I think they're called peat pots, where they say that you can take the pot, kind of break it up on the bottom and plant the plant that you had already started in there directly into the ground. And the peat pot is going to disintegrate and kind of break up into your soil and just kind of just add to the richness of your soil, right? I did try those. They weren't really my favorite. They didn't break up quite as quickly as I wanted them to, and I found pieces of them left over. It wasn't really that big of an issue, but they just weren't my favorite. They were hard to keep the moisture under control when watering. So that's not something I'll probably go back and use again, but I know some people who love them, so it's really just personal preference. Then you have little pots like these grower pots. Now these are something else I got last year, and once I got them in, I was a little bit disappointed with how thin they were and flimsy, meaning they probably are just going to be a one-time use, because when you have a plant in here and you have some roots going, you know, kind of going crazy, doing their thing, you're gonna have to squeeze it and pull them out. These are, I can definitely tell, these are not going to last. So these are, I'm going to use, I'm not gonna put my seeds directly into this. So usually when your seedlings outgrow these little cells right here, you'll start to see the roots coming out. And you'll notice when they get too big for these, they're gonna need to be moved up to a bigger pot so they can have more nutrients and it's gonna be able to grow better before it is ready to really go outside. So I know some of the things I'm gonna start indoors and I can't put out yet, say like my heat-loving plants, like my tomatoes, I'm gonna need bigger pots in between. So I'm gonna use these. Again, not gonna waste what I already have on hand. I probably have over 100 of these ready to go. So I will definitely be using these for that in-between time. So now you've figured out what you're gonna put your seedlings in. The next thing you're going to think about is, what am I going to use, right? So there's so many different seed companies out there. Actually, right now, towards the middle, end of January, we're seeing seed companies that are already overwhelmed with lots of orders. Now, I showed a lot of my seeds I got from Baker Creek. I think it's rareseeds.com, and I have really loved Baker Creek seeds. The ones I've used in the past have been really great. They have great germination rate, which means most of my seeds sprouted. Sometimes you'll have people talk about germination rates. That basically just means most of your seeds sprouted or most of them didn't, you know, whatever. Just the percentage basically of what sprouted and what didn't. Now, I love Baker Creek because they have some really, really cool heirloom varieties that I've never seen before. I mean, we talked about pink okra last time, right? Like, who has seen pink okra? Not me. So they have some really cool heirloom varieties. That doesn't mean that you have to go and spend more on really crazy cool seeds. That was just a preference of mine. Now you can go to your grocery store, definitely, and get your seeds. If cost is an issue for you, definitely look at that. There's a few different places that I've seen. Johnny's Seeds is another one. Botanical Interest is another one that I've heard with organic heirloom seeds. Now I have heard that GMO seeds, if that's an issue for you, GMO seeds are not allowed to be sold to the public to grow. So when you're seeing, a lot of the times when you're seeing organic or non-GMO or open pollinated heirloom, a lot of times, depending on just the varieties that you're really, really wanting, that's not quite as important. And sometimes you're paying a little bit more for those labels when you're not getting really a better product. Now, certain varieties, it's important to go for heirloom, but you don't have to. I say go with what you can afford right now. If that's, you know, don't let the cost of gardening keep you back. If you think you're gonna have to spend thousands to get started, you don't really have to. So now I got a couple from Haas Tools. And I actually found a new seed company called Sow True Seeds, S-O-W, Sow True Seeds. I'll put a link in the description of the video, but they actually, I placed my first order with them very recently. It was recommended by a really great homesteading YouTube channel, Justin Rhodes. I love watching him. And he had a recommendation for them. He said those are the seeds he usually uses. So I placed an order, and then they sent me a link to be able to share with other people for a $5 off coupon. So if that's something you're looking for, I can add that in the description of the video down below. So find you some seeds, right? That's important in getting your garden started. Again, you're going to look at the back of your seeds. It's really important to know when to start these. So I'm really late, technically, on starting my onion sprouts, but I'm gonna go ahead and try because I already have them. I know some people will buy onion sets, they're already dried kind of onion sets, and are already planting those in the ground. So again, I'm behind, but if I don't do it, I know I won't get anything. But if I plant it, I might get something. So I'm gonna try these out, see how they do. Some other things I'm gonna go ahead and plant right now in January. Some broccoli, cauliflower, I have my cabbages, a lot of my kales, some of my kind of hardier lettuces. Those are gonna do really well, started indoors and put out even before the last frost. Those are gonna be really great. Actually, kale has better flavor if it's been a little bit frostbitten. Really interesting tidbit about kale. So the next thing you're gonna think about is the temperature of where your seeds are. So you have your soil in your cells or your pots. You got your seeds in there, right? And you're thinking, oh, I'm just gonna go stick these out in the garage with the grow light or something and they're gonna be fine. My garage is still getting really, really cold. So there's some nights that it's still dropping below freezing. That's not the correct environment to grow seeds. Seeds need warmth to grow. So you need to have a warm place. Now last year, I didn't have all this really planned out very well. My whole kitchen table, which is in front of me right now, was full of seedlings. I have these little dinner trays, you know, sometimes, I don't know, we do random things with them. We don't really eat on them ever, but I have these little trays sitting everywhere with seedlings all over the place. Now that was before they sprouted. Once they sprout, they're gonna need to be somewhere with a grow light, but you need a warm place. If they're going to go out somewhere that it does get cold, you're gonna need a heating mat, something underneath them. Now they do sell seed heating mats. I don't know exactly what they're called because I haven't bought one, but you can have mats underneath your seed trays, and that is something to think about. Now we're gonna talk about grow lights. This is a really intense topic, okay? You can get on Google and you can find 1,000 different opinions on what kind of grow light you need, the lumens, the type of light, the color of light. It gets really intense. And if you're like me and you go down this rabbit hole of reading and reading and reading about something, and then you're paralyzed because you have no idea what to buy, don't look at all that stuff. Truly and honestly, talk to somebody who's done it before, ask them what they have. You can spend anywhere from $20 to $1,000 on grow lights. It gets really intense. So I just got this little simple grow light on Amazon. It does have the blue and red light, so really when it's on, it looks pretty purple. And it just has a simple little cord. It hangs. I don't know if you saw my last video, but did you hear me talking about how my closet was full of seedlings? This is how it happened. I have a low bar in my closet where I hang my clothes, and I have this hanging there. Now it does adjust so I can raise it up when it's time to get a little bit higher because your seedlings will grow. You don't want them touching the light. You need it at least a couple inches. But when your seedlings first sprout, you want them really close to that light. They need all the light they can get. You can raise it up as you go. Now, sometimes I had to prop them up under something, you know, a cookie sheet, anything and everything. So this is the one I bought. This is one that's worked for me. I bought a couple more that didn't really work out for me. They kind of had the pronged lights, little bitty bars that stuck out, and you kind of bend them down, and I don't know. It was a lot to mess with, honestly. I would really prefer something like this where it had a panel. I've seen these long ones. You can get those, I think they're called like the garage shelves, the kind of metal garage shelves. I've seen a lot of people use those to put their seedlings on and use the long bar lights. I've seen some people have like shop lights. I know those are really popular for growing lights. I don't know. I think just pick one and see how it works for you. I picked a couple, they didn't work for me. I'm using them for different things. Like you can use them for houseplants as well. So just get one that you think will work well, has good reviews. I didn't want to get super scientific and into all of what grow lights are all about. So do a little bit of research, maybe look up what you need, but you definitely need a grow light. Another little trick that I have done when I'm planting, and I'll show you this in a minute, but I'll take an old sheet and just spread it out on my table. I poured my soil in a bowl. Yes, that's my pretty bowl I put food in, and just a little measuring cup, and that's how I will fill my seed trays. I'll just take my trays kind of over the bowl and pour it in. That way I'm not wasting a whole ton. And I like to use an old sheet to kind of capture everything that I drop so I'm not wasting hardly any of my soil. So those are the basics of getting seeds started indoors. You're really gonna wanna pay attention to the dates on your seed packets. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of my seeds planted. You're going to plant the seed as deep as it is wide, okay? So if you have a large green bean that you're wanting to plant to the ground, about how wide it is, that's how far deep you're gonna put it in the ground. So if these teeny little seeds, or into your dirt, you're gonna have these teeny little seeds, you're just gonna want them kind of sitting on that surface so that they're able to sprout up and reach the light and the moisture. It's another way, or another reason why some people love to water from underneath when you go to water your seedlings, at least until they have sprouted and started to grow. Lots of people like to put trays. So if you buy those nicer trays that come in a set, I use a cookie sheet because it's what I have and it's what has worked for me. You'll actually put the water in the cookie sheet and the soil is going to pull up that water and water it from the bottom up. Important things you cannot forget is labeling your seeds. Now, even the most experienced gardener is not going to be able to tell a difference from maybe a broccoli sprout or an onion sprout or a red onion sprout or a yellow onion sprout. I for sure would have zero clue what is sprouting up if it wouldn't be, if it wasn't for the labeling, let's be honest. Here's just some old ones I'm going to try. It's just some little plastic markers I got for free with something I ordered at one point. I'm gonna try to clean them off and reuse these bad boys. You can use popsicle sticks. I've even, written on these little trays with those chalkboard markers. Now, you have to remember, if it's gonna, wipe off if it gets wet. I've totally done that. I've written on them before in a place that got wet from me watering, and it completely disappeared. And I had zero clue what I was planting from that cell tray. I knew it was a cold weather plant, but I didn't really know what it was. So it was a little bit of a surprise. So don't forget to label your seedlings. Now, I really hope that was really beneficial for you. Again, if you like what you heard today, please like and subscribe. Basically, that just tells YouTube, it has an algorithm just like most social medias do. So it tells them that you want to see more of what I'm giving out. So get to planting, have fun.